Mouth was a ladies' man, saw himself as a modern Don Juan, put his bite on who it could. Bad is bad, not misunderstood.
Of 3 NRG 99.3 FM.
You're back with Baz. You're listening to Blues on the Hill. It's around about 20 minutes to 10 o'clock. Russ is going to do another live one for us. So we've got plenty of time to do that and discuss this album a little bit more. Let's talk about the next one you want to do, which is Walk My Blues.
Yeah, Walk My Blues, like Black Dog Blues, was just a broad brushstroke song, because I didn't want to have, well, I was a little bit worried if I did every song really factual, people, it might be a bit sort of stodgy for them. So this is more like just a song to create the feeling of being out of work. It's about a guy who's up and down the country trying to find a job. He just can't get one. So he's depressed, so he goes out and just walks to walk off the misery, you know, and actually walking is really therapeutic. If you're a bit depressed, it's a good thing just to get and walk and get rid of that energy. So that was part of that, yeah.
And it rolls along nicely.
Yeah, it's a Shannon-born solo on this. I will avoid the solo. I'll just go straight through it. But his solo on this just knocked us out. It was just fantastic solo.
All right.
Let's do it. It's too hot to sleep, so I have to walk. The pressure's got me down, so I can talk. Lost my family, my home too. So many lost souls singing the blues. I'm gonna walk my blues, walk them all night long, I say. Within the lonely hours, I'm gonna walk my blues away. City to city, town to town, the boss man tell me the work to be found. From the Alice down south, they say no work, day after day. I wanna walk my blues, walk them all night long, I say. Within the lonely hours, I'm gonna walk my blues away. Can't stop, don't stop, the man says move. Don't jump that afraid to go stand in the queue. Just Black Tuesday came, things ain't right. I'm gonna walk my blues all through the night. Well, the government man says it's time you're gone. There's nothing for you here, so move along. It's lucky for me, I've got a woman in tow. I know I'll get through with some help, but I'm gonna walk my blues, walk them all night long, I say. Within the lonely hours, I'm gonna walk my blues away. Within the lonely hours, I'm gonna walk my blues away.
Yeah. Beautiful stuff. Okay. Now, we've been talking about the success of Shark Mouth all evening. Obviously, it's not going to end here. You've touched on something. Is there going to be a part 2? Are we looking for another one? What's next?
I was always looking at it like a trilogy. There's a lot of untold stories that I want to talk about, and I want to sing about other states, because this one was mainly Victoria and New South Wales.
Yep.
I want to include a bit of Queensland, because some great stories up there, Tasmania, and South Australia and Western Australia. I'll just do some stories, and I also want to include the Indigenous people as well, because there's some great stories with the original inhabitants of Australia, you know, who were here for 40,000 years before the white people came. Yeah.
So you've started writing the second one already?
Yeah, it's nearly finished. Yeah,
Nearly finished.
I probably need to finish 3 more songs. I want to probably record 18 songs, and probably just sort of cull 5.
And you're talking about the same collection of people again, or you?
I'll be the same band.
Yeah.
Yeah. I couldn't find a better band for
No.
what I'm doing. Yeah, so it'll be the same band and just a collection of different guests. Some I've already spoken to, so others I'm yet to speak to yet, and I think it'll be really interesting. Yeah.
And are you're about to hit the festival circuit. If you look at your month of October and November, you're at every blues festival coming up. You're at Sydney, you're at Caloundra, you're doing Anglesey, and I looked at your list, and you haven't got a lot of time to yourself.
No, and we've done already a whole lot of them. We just came back from Brisbane and did the Brisbane Festival, which wasn't a blues festival, but what happened, strangely enough, the album came out and no one wanted to take a punt on putting me on any of the festivals. And the people that took the punt were the Albany Festival.
Really?
Over in Western Australia. And they put me on, and there was a few people from other festivals there. And they saw the reaction of the crowd to the stuff, and they knew it was unknown songs. That stage, the album wasn't really doing anything. But we did it, and the crowd reacted really strongly to it. And they went, so they booked me for Bridgetown, and then we got booked for the West Coast Blues Festival, and of course we got booked for Byron.
Yeah.
And then we got booked for Port Fairy. So all those things went by. I know they're so fun. So much fun to do.
Yeah.
Just great fun to do.
And just getting it out there once again.
It is, yeah.
Just fantastic. All right, now you had a great article in Rhythms. Wasn't last month, it was the month before. In this month's Rhythms magazine I'm talking about, which to me is the best Australian music publication. It's just there's no crap, is it? There's just no crap. The writing is perfect, the reviews are perfect, interviews. It's Brian Wise is behind it, of course, from Triple R. So as you'd expect,
he's a very sharp man. He's fantastic.
Oh yeah,
he's
absolutely.
So well researched and everything's great.
Now they put a couple of questions this month to musos, and I want to put the same questions to you that Rhythms put to them. It was about the Australian sound, just the Australian blues sound. So one of them was, why do you think so many Australian bands in the early 70s, such as the Aztecs, Matalake Chain, Sid Rumpo, why do you think they embraced the heavy blues rock sound?
Why do you think they did?
Yeah.
Why they did, I'm pretty sure they embraced it because for the live scene was so gigantic then, and they wanted to get people rocking. They wanted to get people. If you notice, they all played that sort of like really full on. There was never any subtle that any of them did really. It was pretty well full on because it was that pub rock thing.
Yeah.
And it was pub blues in a way,
Yeah.
And Thorpe did lots and lots and lots of that, but it was always over other people's songs from America,
A lot of the bands that they interviewed, and people mentioned the British. How the British, they were influenced a lot by the British. Maybe the early Stones, because that was sort of heavily blues influenced.
Well, I thought Chain was probably the most original at that stage. They didn't sound American, or they sounded very different. And I actually, they were my favourite band. And if you look at all my old albums, they played on everything I ever did.
Yeah.
And it's so funny to hear "Sweet Sweet Love" that started. It goes that guitar line. That what's the next line? There. There it is. Something like that. That's Phil Manning.
Yeah.
And it's such a schmaltzy sort of line. And it's Phil Manning playing that. And it was Barry Harvey and Barry Sullivan on bass and drums. So I always used Chain because I loved them dearly. I loved everything they did, yeah. So I thought they were a bit They had a very original sound.
The next question they asked was the results that saw those bands receive mainstream recognition and the songs are fondly remembered and still played. How, if at all, do you think that music influenced what was to come with AC/DC, Chisel, Rose Tattoo, Midnight Oil? Big influence on them, you think, the early Australian?
Definitely, yeah. They went more rock and roll and more riff orientated in a way, and even including the Angels in there. They were all sort of, and they were also heavily influenced by two geniuses, George Young and Harry Vanda. If you look at the guitar sounds on those albums, like the Angels and AC/DC, phenomenal production, phenomenal guitar sounds. And yeah, they took it from almost like the Stones did, because the Stones started off as a straight blues band.
Yeah.
I remember their first album, and they knocked me out. That's what got me into music. That very first album of the Rolling Stones with King Bee and all those things, and Mona and all that.
All the early blues.
Yeah, and then they sort of went away from the blues. They went into a rock and roll, and I think a lot of the bands followed in that direction. Some people stayed true to the blues roots, but others sort of moved on to a poppy. Well, it's not pop, but it's a more of a commercial sort of.
B.B. King, to this day, credits the Rolling Stones and the British blues influence for just resurrecting careers
Of course they did. Yeah.
Muddy Waters, John Lee, all those people were resurrected once the British, the Stones and those people took it on board,
Yeah, and it was great, and they really paid homage to, as we were talking earlier, when Keith Richards first heard Robert Johnson.
Yeah.
He was wondering who the other guitar player was.
Yeah.
And they were blown away by all that earlier stuff, And I personally, I like the Stones way back. I really loved them when they were like that blues approach.
The early stuff.
The very, very early stuff. Yeah, I really liked that stuff.
And the other question they asked, do you think there is a distinctive Australian blues sound? Obviously, you're creating one.
Yeah, I think we're heading that way.
Yeah.
There's a number of reasons. People chase success, unfortunately, and to survive in the music business, you've got to be successful or you starve, and the band breaks up and you end up getting another job.
Yeah.
So people do chase success, and unfortunately, when you're chasing a trend, you're always one step behind. I think blues will start to come back again, because I've had a lot of people ring me now and say, we're doing an album which is similar to yours. We're going to sing about Australian things, because blues is our roots, and our roots is Australia. So, which is really good. It's like, you listen to some of the rap bands, why do you sing rap songs about America? If you're going to be a rap band, sing about problems in Australia. And I think some of the Aboriginal boys do. Some of the Indigenous boys sing about that, which is fantastic. So I think it's developing, and it's almost like the same thing. We had a cultural cringe for a long time, and the reason that carried over is because, say, 100 years ago, say we were sitting out here and I said to you, hey Baz, wasn't your grandfather a convict? You would have died. You would have gone, no, wait, no, we're not convicts. No, we were settlers. Because the stigma was really, really, really bad. Now people want to find convicts in their heritage. They're really excited about it, or an Indigenous link. They just want that. People want that now because we're finally becoming really proud of Australia.
Yeah.
And there have been people proud for a long time, but generally, a lot of people always sort of had that, we're a bit cringy. We've got no history, really. We have. We've got the Indigenous people, 40,000 years of history, and we've got some of the things that have happened here have been phenomenal, and something really, we've got to crow about it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.